Welcome to the Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking to 3 students about what they wish they knew before they studied abroad.
I really was able to live like a Parisian. It's truly going to be the best month of your life, but you also have to make it the best.
You're gonna more regret not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and trying these new experiences than maybe a small moment of embarrassment. So
it's definitely a must listen before you head abroad on your 2024 study adventure. Okay, welcome to our next episode of the Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. Super excited today to have 3 global ambassadors here with us to talk about what they wish they knew before going abroad. And, just what are some of the great pieces of advice or experiences either that they heard from somebody else before they left, or giving us a bit of their wisdom now that they have done their program and are back to give advice to our summer 2024 students who will be traveling in just a couple of weeks. So super excited to welcome Kai Chi. Kai Chi is a junior in Texas, and Kai Chi studied in the Dominican Republic doing the public health service and leadership program, right?
Mhm.
Then we have Paulo. Paulo is a senior, Paulo?
Junior.
Junior. Paulo is a junior in California, and Paulo actually has done 2 programs with CIEE, so has a lot of great insight. In 2022, he did the Spanish language and culture in Buenos Aires program, and in 2023, the climate change mitigation in Costa Rica. And then we have Camille, who is a high school senior in Washington State, and Camille did the French language and culture program in Paris. So very cool. We have different perspectives. I think this is the first time we've had somebody on our podcast that studied in Argentina. So that's really cool to have that perspective of South America programs. But then we have, of course, a Caribbean program and a service and leadership program, right? And then 2 language programs, one being in South America. Then we have a European language program in Paris, which is, of course, a very popular destination. And I'm sure many students are going to be traveling there in a couple of weeks. Hopefully many students are traveling to all 3 locations, right? So my first question for you guys is, so think back to a year ago, March 2023, you guys are a couple of months away from going abroad, going on this amazing adventure. Perhaps it was your first time leaving the country. Perhaps it wasn't. I don't know. You can tell us. And what were your feelings? How did you feel anticipating going abroad in these months leading up to it? What were you most excited about? What were you most anxious about? Whoever wants to go first.
For me, it was my first time traveling outside without my family. And then the actual trip itself to the DR, going to the DR and things, I wasn't too nervous about the program itself because CIEE does a really great job of providing you a pre-coursework, and you go through all of the assignments and all of the things that you got to learn first, like the culture, what to expect and things. And then they also host a meeting with parents before the actual trip. And so it's very helpful to just get some of the nerves away through those. But what I was most nervous about was actually going through customs and going to the airport, going through all of those, because I'm very anxious about that. And I don't know whether or not I might have packed something wrong, measured my suitcase size wrong, maybe. That's the part I was most nervous about. And then also on the plane too, I was kind of nervous about whether or not some unforeseen circumstances might happen. But overall, nothing else about the trip made me too nervous, because there's always a lot of support given from CIEE. And then what I was most excited about is because I live in in Houston. Like the seasides here are pretty boring. And what I was most excited about was to go to the DR and then go to the seaside, visit some of the local places, and then also experience the city because the place I live, which was Santiago, is really known for its murals and also its coffee too. And so I was looking forward to trying those items.
Very cool. And then did you go on the chaperone flight when you went to the DR? Did you
Yeah,
have
so
a chaperone with you?
My first flight, I flew solo to Miami, and then Miami was a group flight where we were like all together. We met with our PLs, and then yeah, everything went smoothly from there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, adding on to what Kaichi said, I personally had like anxiety with like if I was gonna lose my passport. Like for me, I was like every like 5 minutes in the airport, I was like, okay, do I have my phone? Do I have my debit card? Do I have my passport? And I think that was like my number one travel tip is like hang on to that passport for dear life. And also like when you get there, make sure you have have a safe space where you can like put it and like just also make copies. Make like 5 copies and always have one on you at a time. But for Paris, I was most excited just about the food. So many people, so many of my friends have like told me that the food is so good, and like you don't really know how good it is until you try it. It's like one of those things where it's like maybe it's a placebo effect, but I really think that like my skin was really healthy and just I didn't feel like bogged down after the food, so I was really looking forward to that. But the thing I was most nervous about is the like Parisian pickpockets. I remember doing a lot of like research on like crime rings or like pickpocket like schemes in Paris, and like I was so nervous about that. Like also because planning out your day can be overwhelming because CIEE gives a good amount of like free time. So deciding where I wanted to go and if it was going to be safe, like if I was going to like be pickpocketed, that was something I was super afraid of. But then like I reflected on it and I thought like I can't really control if someone decides to target me, but I can be vigilant when I go out. So always just being mindful of myself, and I think that's what I like kind of got over when I was being nervous about being robbed.
Like the week before the trip for me the first time, and it was just like I was so nervous, and I was just like, and like I remember because like this is my first time studying abroad, so like I gotta make sure I have everything because like I'm about to be gone for an entire month and like another continent, and it's just like I really had to make sure I have everything, and just like yeah, and I remember like always like never have your phone out, don't have your wallet out, like don't ever carry cash on you, don't carry like anything that's like super important to you. Like I made sure I never carried that, and just yeah.
Okay.
I feel you, Paulo. But also I think even though it causes nervousness, it's such
Mm-hmm.
like a big pivotal part of the trip. I know for like
Yeah.
a lot of people, whether or not they like experience getting their phone taken or anything, like just being able, since you don't have like a parent there, even there is a support system, like Kaichi said, a lot of it, like you get to figure things out for yourself. And more like for most of the travelers, that was like their first time, like being able to like provide for themselves and like take initiative. So I think that's also a really rewarding part to like look forward to at the end.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was like for me, like being able to travel that much by myself was so rewarding for me. And it's just like so that's why like when I went on study abroad trip the next time, it was like super easy. Like all of it was, I remember just like packing and all that stuff. Like because I just like I remember when I did it the first time, it was like super hard. And I had to make sure I had everything. Whereas like right before I went on Costa Rica, I like packed like 6 hours before, and I was like, boom, like super easy.
You became a
Just,
seasoned traveler. Like it's no big deal, right? Just travel a lot,
yeah,
no biggie.
yeah,
Yeah. But it's true. And that's what we talk about, right? How CIEE prepares you to have, this sense of independence, to be independent, not to have a sense of independence, to be independent, right?
hmm
Much earlier, right? Most American students get that experience. I mean, unless they're living in like big cities like New York City, right, where there's a lot more autonomy. And it's still not the same thing as being in a different country on your own, right? Most American students don't get this experience of being responsible for themselves until they go to college. And that's usually that big turning point, right? But for you guys, you got to have that a couple years early. And so now when you go to college, you're going to be pros, right? You guys are going to, this is nothing. College is nothing. I'm in the same state. I'm in the same country, the same region, right? Like, this is nothing compared to going to a foreign country all on my own and figuring it out and making sure I have stuff on me that I need, but also being vigilant to not get pickpocketed in some of the cities where that might be more prevalent, right? So for sure.
Yeah, and on that topic too, I would really recommend like bringing yourself a belt bag or something so that it stays like secure to your body and stuff. And honestly, that was pickpocketing, which was like it's the worst thing that could happen, because like you normally like think about all like the other like things, like what if something dangerous happens, but honestly pickpocketing was the only thing that actually occurred in our sessions. So yeah, just don't worry too much, everything's going to be fine. They also have like they take safety into consideration. So yeah. And then also to your topic about like learning these things faster before anyone else, like one of the things I regret the most is not applying to CIEE earlier, because I really feel that the trip overall made me a more confident person, and then I was also able to open up to others more easier too because of the experience that I had, and being able to meet people from all over the world and also talk with locals, even though you might not be the most fluent. I feel like that's definitely a very important part and a growth that really profoundly impacted me.
Yeah. The title of the podcast, right? Out of your comfort zone, these moments that push you out of your comfort zone, force you to grow, right? The moment you leave your comfort zone, the growth is going to be so exponential because you have to do these things that when you're at home and in your bubble, you're afraid to do. But then you realize that, hey, it's not so bad and I can do it. And I can do it when I'm back at home as well, right? For sure. Did anybody give you any like really good advice before you left? How did your families feel about you guys going abroad?
I just remember like my mom was super, super excited about it.
I think like I'm really fortunate to have a family that like realizes that like travel is like one of the best things in life. Like getting these experiences is just like so profound. Like 3.5 high school students like get to study abroad, and it's just a really big privilege to do that. I'm not sure my parents were like more so worried. I think it was just like making sure that all of my forms were filled out was like the big kicker for them. Yeah, and staying on top of that.
Honestly, my parents weren't too worried about me. They were like pretty carefree about the whole trip, and they were just like really happy that I was able to go.
For Paris specific, I know it gets super busy in the summertime, and I'm sure it gets like this literally everywhere else when everyone else is traveling. But just making sure that if you want to go to a specific monument, you like book those tickets. Lucky enough because I was under 18, I was able to get tickets for the Arc de Triomphe, but that line was so long. So things like Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, like specific churches like Saint Chapelle, making sure that you get those reservations in ASAP. Especially also that goes for restaurants that are really popular.
That's kind of interesting because like I feel like it was very different from my experience where like when I went to Argentina or Costa Rica, I honestly didn't have any expectations or like I didn't really look into like the place I was traveling to in a way because like I was more just like looking into like what I'm gonna do and like how to manage it and like how to set everything up properly. But like I don't know, it's just like I didn't really like I got to explore and like really looked into things once I got there. But like when I went there, like I had no expectations for anything. Like I was just like anything can happen. So I'm just like, I wouldn't hold my breath for anything. I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's just like I personally wasn't holding my breath for anything. I was just like kind of just like went in like, not really expecting much.
Just like going where the wind takes you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Free spirit.
Sometimes that like winds that like leads you to the best day or like the best experience.
Yeah, honestly, like the unpredictability of everything, and sometimes like just not having a schedule yourself and going with the flow of things is really nice. And then with the specific advice things, definitely like for the place you're going to, check the weather so that you know what to pack and stuff. But then also what I really like doing that gave me more information about the program and what to expect was the program blogs and then going to CIEE's TikToks. Those are always fun to watch. And they always also have like blogs and stuff. So you can see like what past people did and where you might want to visit too from those.
So how'd you guys go about packing? How'd you guys go about packing everything you might need for 3 weeks or 4 weeks in a different country that you don't know? Did you overpack? Did you underpack? Is there something that you packed that you're super glad that you packed that maybe other people didn't remember packing? Is there something that you didn't pack that you're like, man, I really should have packed that? How was the packing experience?
One thing for sure is that I'd say definitely like pack yourself a little digital camera because like you realize that after like coming back from the trip that you made so many memories and then capturing those and then like transforming them into like film, a physical copy is always super nice to look back into those memories. And then the overall packing process, I feel like I packed the perfect amount. Definitely don't do too much. Like honestly, all you need are just like a good pair of jeans. And then CIEE gives you a t-shirt too, and that's pretty much what you're wearing throughout the program. And then definitely the place you're going to, definitely check out the local shops because they have super nice clothing options, maybe traditional clothing too. Grab yourself some of those and then don't pack too much so that you can bring home some souvenirs too. And also be sure to pack like a lot of sunscreen, a lot of bug spray, because that's like the main thing that a lot of people from my program regretted not bringing because there were a lot of bugs in Santiago. And then one last thing is also to maybe pack yourself a reusable water too, because that was very helpful to be able to carry it around everywhere.
Yeah. So for Paris, I'm not sure if this, I think it was a good rule for me at the time. But I went off of like no graphic t-shirts, nothing with words on it, because that will make you stick out like a sore thumb. And like, I just wanted to think about like, well, what's going to look good in 20 years? Like, I really want, for me, like being able to look back on those memories and also have like comfortable clothing was super important to me. So that was like my basis of what I went off of. And I feel like I packed pretty light because, like Kaichi said, there's just so many like places where you can get clothing, especially in Paris. I did a lot of vintage shopping and just like going through thrift stores. And I think like I got a lot of clothes from there as well. A couple of outfits to bring home actually. But I am super grateful that I brought a light rain jacket because it absolutely dumped my last week. And like I would not have survived that last week without my rain jacket. Just super light, and it was really easy to throw on and like crumple up if I needed to and put in my bag. And then also for my ladies, a light sweater top that covers shoulders, especially if you're planning on going to a church. But something I regret bringing was my Birkenstocks. I think it really just depends if they give you blisters or not, but I also only wore them like for a full day once, and I think it was because they gave me blisters. They were nice like for like quick trips to the supermarket or parks, but just out and about in general was a no for me.
Yeah, be aware you're walking a lot.
Yes,
Basically
especially in
any place
Paris.
you go, but yeah,
Mhm.
especially in the big cities, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I 100% agree with that. I just remember for me, like my packing experience and like the first time it took me an entire week to pack and I was trying to like map out the weather and I was just trying to bring everything like don't bring too much of anything. Like just bring anything that's like just bring stuff that like you're actually gonna need. Don't bring stuff you want. Just bring stuff you need. And I remember, yeah, it just took me a whole week and then like and I just like remember and then like my second experience packing was probably that was probably like the most easiest packing I've ever done. Like it took me like only like 6 hours to do, and it was just like I washed all my clothes that day, and then like I washed like I had a specific outfits for a few days, and then like I mostly just had outfits for like what were I just like packed accordingly. And yeah, and I just remember it was so easy for when I went to Costa Rica, but like Argentina was like super hard.
Also different, right? Because in Costa Rica, you're um like far from the city, right? You're on this property, this amazing property that belongs to CIEE, right? But it's like tons and tons of land, and that's where you spend most of your time, right?
Yeah.
On that land by the study center, right? So it's not the same thing as somebody who's going to a city every day, right? Again, think about your destination in terms of, you know, the outfits that you're gonna want to wear, right? If you're gonna be out in nature a lot more, right, then you're gonna want to pack different outfits. You're not gonna pack dresses or skirts, right? Or high heels. So
Mm.
definitely think about things like that.
Yeah, and I think CIEE might have given me a packing list
Yeah.
for those trips. And I think I remember I really went off of that. Like to me, like when if you're ever gonna do a study abroad trip again, or just like ever if you're listening and you're doing this, like always pack, always like go off the CIE eating list, and then like you can use your own type of methods.
Yeah, for sure. Something that I've learned more and more with traveling, and I still haven't bought yet. I've bought many cheap versions of it, but before I travel this summer, I know that I need to buy a good quality portable battery for my phone. Like
Yeah.
I would buy like the $5 versions from like Five Below or Target, right? No, they don't. They die quicker than your phone does, right? So, like a good quality battery pack. I know that the people that have them on trips are always like the favorite person, and that battery pack is gold, and everybody's trying to charge their phone off of their battery pack, right? So, I think that's definitely a good idea.
One thing that also too that's not like material, but like be sure to like download a currency like trans exchanging app on your phone because that's really helpful to know, especially when you're going out shopping and stuff.
Yeah.
That is so helpful to be honest. Like I just remember like when I went to Argentina, I had no idea like what I was like, how much I was spending, and like the currency was just so difficult for me. And I remember I always had my friends there like for me to translate the currency. And I just remember like I would always like, okay, how much does this cost? Like how much does that cost? Like I just like I didn't really like look into the currency. Whereas like when I went to Costa Rica, it was just like 100% looked into the currency and just like yeah, like made sure like how much I was spending.
That's such a big one. And like kind of like in the same realm of like getting the most bang for your buck is like just bring your student ID. If you have like a physical student ID, like keep that on you because a lot of places in Paris at least offered student discounts and that was really good. I saved a good amount of money just by having my student ID on me.
Yeah, so many museums are going to have discounts or monuments, things like that, sometimes even stores, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Oh,
was definitely like a must have for me.
that's a really good suggestion. I've never heard somebody make that suggestion, but that's a really good one. Um, Very cool. Was there anything like really shocking when you guys got abroad? Did you have any culture shock?
I realized how loud Americans are. Like that was the one
Yeah.
culture shock that like completely shocked me about the trip is how loud we are. Because like whenever I went to a restaurant, everything was so quiet, and then like I just remember like how loud we were most of the time. But it's just like that was a huge, huge culture shock for me.
Yeah.
It's a good eye opener though.
Yeah, it
You
totally
become more,
was like
yeah. You become more aware of your surroundings when you just close your mouth or like talk a little bit more quiet.
And it just makes you more self-aware, right? To realize that and be like, oh wow, okay, we do this. Maybe we can reel it in.
Yeah, for sure. For
For me,
me, oh, sorry. You go ahead, Kaichi. Yeah.
for me, I feel like the locals, like from the DR, like really match our vibes and stuff. And what I was really surprised about is like how everyone was so welcoming. Like the first day I got there, it was like midnight already, and we were visiting our host. We were like just meeting our host mom, and then like the first thing she did was just like welcome us with her arms, and then she hugged us and was like calling us her daughters and stuff. And so that was really sweet. And like that's the same. That's like the same kind of interaction with every other single person I met in the DR. Like they were also welcoming, and their form of communication is like hugs and physical touch, and that was just really lovely.
That is lovely.
That's so nice. Like, it kind of, it's like they become your family in a sense. 100%. And
Yeah.
like, I felt the same way with my host mom too. There's a stereotype that Parisians aren't touchy, and that is so true. But, you know, a quick little bees, like the little kiss, that, especially when you're meeting someone. Oh my goodness. My host mom's daughter came over for dinner, and I thought she was going in for a hug, and they don't do hugs. And she was going in for a bees, and that was like, oh, that was my culture shock.
Did you
Oh,
hug
yeah,
her?
I did. Yeah.
Wait,
How did
what?
she react?
Oh, she was just like, okay. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I forgot we didn't do that, but it was all good.
yeah, I remember like what for me it was kind of different from y'all's like where it's like for me, my host mom was like because I just had like a one host mom and it was just like 'cause I think we were so many it was so many of us because like I was like bunked up with five other like housemates like from the program. And I just remember like I think she was kind of shy and like distant towards us because in a way, I don't think she was trying to. I think we just like overwhelmed her in a way that like I think it made her very shy towards us.
5 loud Americans, right? And that was
Yeah.
how it is in her house.
Yeah. And like in an apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Those loud Americans.
Awesome. So what advice do you have for somebody who's going abroad this summer? You've given a lot of advice, but if there's anything else to add to it.
And it's a tough question.
Yeah, I have two things. So,
Okay.
advice is spend time doing the local things.
Mhm.
Like, it's totally valid to go to a bunch of museums and like monuments, but also taking time to like slow down and like maybe go on a run in your city if that's available. For me, I would go on runs along the Seine, and it was like my favorite thing that I did there. Because like you could go from Notre Dame to the Eiffel Tower in like 30 minutes, and like seeing these monuments just up in person, you're like, whoa, Parisians, they have this privilege. They can run along the Seine and see these like internationally acclaimed monuments. And then also just like my roommate and I, we'd paint our nails in like Paris parks, and just taking time to really just settle in. And also we did our homework in cafes, which was a lot of people, like people were there. And then when we'd finish up, we'd people watch like Parisians. You look on any street and there's anyone just sitting staring at people coming by. And I think that was really like what put the cherry on top for the experience, because like it's not that I was just a visitor, I really was able to like live like a Parisian. And then my second piece of advice is if you're on a language program, use the language, because treatment is just so much better if you try. Like, I know a lot of locals will like take into account that you're trying to kind of acclimate to their culture, and it really is just an important thing to experience being a guest in someone else's country, and it's a privilege. Like I said earlier, only 3.5% of high school kids in America get to study abroad. So you can feel like a fish out of water, and like maybe the language doesn't roll off your tongue like a local, but it's part of the trip that is so eye-opening, and it also can get you like better relations and interactions with people that you talk to.
Yeah, honestly, like just embrace all the times that you probably pronounced something wrong. I mean, it's just like it makes a very core memory for you. And then like Camille said, also take use of your surroundings. Like how many more chances in your lifetime could you be visiting a place like this? And also definitely spend time bonding with your host family too, because you learn so much from them. You learn more about their history, their culture, and their life in their countries too. And then you realize that how different your life is. And then one thing I really love about like traveling is that it really slows you down and brings you like to pace with like how the locals live. And that's really amazing. And be open to trying new foods, like foods that you might not be familiar with. Like don't buy those things that you're already so familiar with in America that you could get like anywhere. Definitely check out the local supermarkets, buy some local foods. Like it's always amazing to experiment and try new things. Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's like honestly such good advice. Like it's just like I honestly really wish I had that advice because like had that I always had that like experience of constantly just ordering Americanized versions of food. But at the same time, like it was nice in Argentina, like trying other international foods, but like giving it an Argentinian taste to it. But like for me, my advice is just say, just try to have the time of your life. Like really just have the time of your life. Like make it the best you can. Just make the most out of it and don't waste any time on anything. I mean, don't waste anything on anything negative. Like just make the best you can out of the trip.
Yeah, it's only 3 or 4
That
weeks.
is also, yeah, that is such good advice. Like, to be more specific on like what negative, like spending your time negatively could be, is like talking to people from home and like spending time on social media, because like you are in such a unique position for 3 to 4 weeks. And
Yeah.
there's never going to be a time in your life again where you're with like these amazing people, your host family, your cohort, your PLs, and like you can never get this time back. And you do not want to be like stuck on Snapchat for people that are like maybe 8 hours, 24 hours, 12 hours time difference. So
Yeah.
really just take in the moment.
Yeah.
I honestly, I really wish I had that advice because, like, I remember I would just see other people and I kind of like get jealous of what they're doing, on Instagram, and I was just like, I'm in a foreign country, like I'm doing this right
You're
now.
in
Like,
Argentina. Come on.
exactly,
Yes,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
Honestly, just to like avoid all of those happening, just delete those apps from your phone. Like you can always re-download them later. Like time is money, like all of us just like mentioned, and you definitely don't want to waste it. And one
Oh,
like waking early, catching the beautiful sunsets. Like I'm really annoyed about that too. And then also like as many times as you can, if you're staying with a homestay, like definitely stay for the meals rather than like going outside. Maybe you could try a new restaurant, but like the homestay meals are so amazing, and they use like local ingredients which are so fresh and so delicious. And then it's always a new dish that you're going to be trying every day, and a new core memory that you're going to be making with your family. So take use of those opportunities.
yeah. And always like the home food is so different, right? Like I think of my experience. I spend a lot of time in Portugal, right? My family is Portuguese. And what we think of as Portuguese food Like, for example, here in my community, we have a ton of Portuguese restaurants. There's Portuguese food that it's like the same menu that you can think of that's going to be on the menu at the restaurant. And then it's going to be probably on most menus at restaurants in Portugal. But that's not what I'm going to eat at my aunt's house for dinner, right? Like, that's never going to be that same meal, right? There's such different takes when it's home cooked meals than when it's, that typical restaurant dish that every restaurant is going to have. Try the home cooked meal. That's going to probably be a little different, but honestly, usually be heartier, yummier, healthier, fill you more.
Made with love, made with care.
Love. Exactly. Speaking of love, going back to what Camille said, like definitely, I don't know if parents are listening to this, and I know parents definitely miss you while you're abroad, but try not to be on the phone with your mom for an hour each day, right?
Just try to get homesick.
Huh?
That's another advice I'd give. Don't try your best not to get homesick.
Yeah.
One more thing too, like don't be afraid of telling your your host family about like your preferences too, and definitely like tell them about your allergies, because they're always really accommodating. And then if you're not really like familiar with the taste of something, you're not really used to it, definitely just be open and let them know.
Yeah. So Paulo has kind of referred to this, but so if you guys could go back on any program or do have a different experience or redo your study abroad experience, is there anything you would change?
I think when I went to Argentina, I think I should have taken way, way more photos. Like, I feel like I don't have enough like photos from that trip, and I really wish I had way more, just so I can like kind of just like relook at a lot of those memories.
Okay. It's a good one.
Archie, do you want to take this one first?
Sure. I was thinking really hard about this question because honestly, like everything was just really amazing for me. But if anything, I would just say we get like a lot of free time from CIEE, and then I really wish I could have just been like very efficient and very productive with my time, because sometimes like during the afternoons of the day we'd be just like staying at home the whole time. And then I'm just thinking like with that time maybe I could have explored another part of the city, maybe I could have seen some more of the murals and just experience the city rather than staying like cooped up in the house. If anything, like that's the only thing that I would change. And then also don't be afraid to try out like all the things that you're going to be going to. Like for us, we had like this really cool activity where we were like going down this really cool lake, and I just stayed away from that, and I really regretted that. So don't be afraid of partaking in those like adventures and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Like you only have this 1 month once. And for me, I wouldn't do anything differently except for take more pictures. Yeah. That's a super big thing for me. And like even though it has been like basically half a year, those pictures and like those memories are such a big comfort place for me. Like I can like take a look at these pictures and just like take a deep breath, and then like I feel how it felt to be there in that moment. And like it's really something that you can't like describe unless you've experienced it. And for whoever is listening to this that like gets to go abroad this summer, you will know how I feel. And like just take as many pictures as your phone permits, because you will be looking at like the street sign. You'll be looking at the little animals on the street come a year, 2 years later. So yeah.
Camille, that point is so valid, because like sometimes I feel really lonely, and I feel like my experience in America is just so different, and I just feel really like detached sometimes. And then when I need comfort, I'll go back and look at those pictures, like sometimes during the middle of the night, and then I'll start like tearing up and stuff because like suddenly it's just a rush of all these memories coming back to me. And it's like very nostalgic, even though it's only been a short duration since the trip. And then on Camille's point too, like take a picture of anything that comes up, like the sky, like the sunsets, the sunrises, the food, like everything will become a very core part of your identity and your experiences. So yeah,
I
clear up
think
your
those
story.
pictures, yes, that as well. But also like those pictures like serve as a reminder that like even if you're coming from a big city or like a really small town, there's the world is so much bigger than that. And like you can like look back on those experiences and think like, wow, I really like I studied abroad in a foreign place. I can do this. I can do whatever is happening to me. Every like little thing that's like any little inconvenience that is happening to me, I know that I can do this because I perform so well in a foreign environment.
So good. I do want to, okay. I'm like looking at the time and I'm like, I should cut it off, but I still want to ask you guys, what was your favorite memory? Do you have a favorite memory you want to share?
For me, I think like the most memorable really was when I went to Iguazu Falls in Argentina because I don't know why it was just like it was such a memorable time and just like yeah, and I just think I have the most photos from like when I went to Iguazu Falls, so I think that's why it's like the most memorable for me.
Yeah. And it's just so majestic. I've never
Oh,
been there,
it's
but
so beautiful. It's
yeah.
so beautiful. Like it's like you're gonna get wet when you like go when you go there, but like at the same time, like there's so many like beautiful rainbows and like it's just so lush and like so colorful.
Awesome.
I bet the pictures don't do it justice either.
No, they don't. Like when
Yeah.
you're actually there, I'm like it's just like it feels 10 times or just like a bajillion times more majestic than like when you see it on a photo.
Make sure you share those photos with us so we can share them.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I will.
You got me wanting to go there. Like, oh my goodness.
Right?
I need to go abroad again. Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. For
Summer.
me, like my like most pivotal, like favorite part was I got interviewed by a French news company, like
What?
on one of our excursions. Like it was crazy. Like we went
Wow.
to Le Grand Palais, which was like an immersive like art exhibit. And then like I was just walking out the door from one of the like rooms in the exhibit, and this lady comes up to me with a microphone, and there's a guy like with a big TV camera, and she asks me in French like what do you like about this exhibit? And like I just completely like this was like probably week 3 or 4. Everything came super smooth. I felt French. And though I was like, oh my goodness, ooh la la. Like I was just interviewed by a French news company. And I think that was my favorite part. So
Girl,
yes.
you really were Parisian this summer.
I lived that Parisian summer.
Did you like see the clip anywhere? Did you end up seeing
I'm
the
not
news
actually
story
sure
anywhere?
if they aired it or not. I was our host mom did not want to have our TV on during during dinner. So I don't know if it actually got aired, but I hope maybe it's on the internet somewhere.
It did. You're a French star.
Thank you.
That's honestly so amazing because it shows you like how in such a short span of like your 3 or 4 weeks in the summer, like it really shows how like the difference because like you could be learning it in your school for like a year or 2 or 3 years, but it doesn't compare to actually. So that's really amazing. And then for me, one of my favorite experiences was it was like nighttime in the DR. It was like 8 or 9, and usually like we don't go out at that time unless like we go to the local supermarket. And that night, I think because it was summertime, they had like some sort of festival or some sort of parade season going on. And so our host mom and our neighbors drove us to like this very busy street, and then everywhere. There were lights, there were colorful banners, there were people jamming to music. And then at first we were a bit nervous, but then like the next moment our host moms just like pushed us into the crowds, and then we like joined the other people that were dancing. And then like when the songs changed, we would like dance with someone else. And it was such a sweet moment. Just like, even though we have this language barrier, everyone's able to vibe so well together and dance under the lights and have a good time together. And I feel like that was just one of my most core memories that I'll never forget.
That's such
so
a beautiful experience. Yeah, I hope everyone gets to experience something like that in their lifetime. That is so unique and amazing. And I'm so glad you had that experience.
Made me feel warm and fuzzy, like thinking about it. Just, like music, dance, just celebrating life that transcends everything else, right?
Yeah.
I love that. What did you show your bachata moves? Did you dance? Was it bachata?
Yes, the bachata, merengue, and it was so helpful too because like the program coordinated those dance lessons, and it just like came in clutch. Like when we went out to the streets, and like the locals were so cool. They were like slightly a bit drunk, but it was still a really fun experience. And like definitely take use of those lessons that you could be learning. Like sign yourself up for dance lessons, be a part of the local events, and just like blend into their life.
So cool.
Yeah, especially like, I feel like I think it's like really important, like especially like when you have free time, to make the most out of that free time, even though like, yes, you do have classwork to do, and like also find time for that, but like really like make the most out of your free time and like get to know people better and just make more memories with it.
You learn the most and you grow the most as a teacher, as a former teacher, and as somebody who works for an educational company. You learn the most and you grow the most out in real life, experiencing life outside of the classroom, right? I feel like the classroom is so important and it's complementary, and the classroom is why Camille was able to have that conversation with the journalist, and it is why Kaichi was able to dance bachata and merengue with the locals, right? But there's nothing like those moments of real life application, and just having fun and meeting people and discovering, to learn about the world, to learn about others, to learn about yourself, right? Great. Do you guys have anything to add?
I wish I was you, okay? Like, oh my gosh, I wish you nothing but the best experience ever. You're going to have such a pivotal moment, like such a pivotal like month. It's truly going to be the best month of your life. But you also have to make it the best. Use your time wisely. So, like everyone else said.
Yeah, I just make it the best moment possible. Like really just like two things: don't have any expectations, like just expect the unexpected, and to really take a lot of photos and just like make it the best moment possible. Like just make the most out of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then every day is gonna be like serotonin filled. Like every day is gonna be exciting. Every day is gonna be new. And the one thing is like, if you're scared of being embarrassed, don't be, because like you're gonna more regret not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and trying these new experiences than maybe a small moment of embarrassment. So yeah.
Even that moment of embarrassment, you'll probably laugh about it in a few months, right?
You'll grow from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you all. This was such a great conversation. I loved it. I loved your interactions and, the way you guys really, I think, gave such good advice, and going off of each other really portrayed so well what the study abroad experience is and how to prepare for it for our students that are leaving in just a couple of weeks. You guys have so much wisdom, having gone on program and having gone on such different programs, and the way we were able to kind of synthesize such different experiences into something, where we can just get down to the fundamentals of this is study abroad, and no matter where you go, no matter what program you do, this advice will apply. So thank you so much. Thank you to our watchers, our listeners, for tuning in. And of course, we wish you the most amazing summer wherever you go and wherever you travel to. And we wish you many more summers of travel ahead. Thank you for listening to Out of Your Comfort Zone. For more information on high school study abroad programs, visit ciee.org/global navigator.